Okay, so you might have noticed along while using visual stakeholders, your code doesn't get rearranged after you save, or your code are formatted poorly, meaning tags are being placed in wrong places or too much space in some places. If you want this to be formatted automatically, but there's a way to do that. But what does formatting mean? Let me start from there. You may have some tags being placed like this. Maybe you put all this, you just modeled all your code up. If there's a settings of Visual Studio Code used to rearrange poorly formatted code. Let me just try to format everything badly. So, okay, so let's talk about rendering list. What is a list? Let me show you an example of a list. Yeah, okay, this is a list. A list is basically an item that is being ordered by a number of bullets. So how are these created in HTML? First, we have two types of lists: ordered list and unordered list. To create an unordered list, you use the UL tag. And in between the UL tag, we now have li, meaning list item. You can write this is item 1. Then we can have item 2 and item 3. So we refresh our browser, we can now see this 3 list here. And this was possible because we used the UL tag in combination with the li tag. So how do we create ordered lists? We create ordered lists by replacing the UL with OL. So for example, I have this the OL tag. Now we can see this list being rendered there. So what happens if we misspell one of the tags in between the list tag? For instance, as we wrote LA, for instance, this is a misspelled tag. Reload it. Like I said earlier, HTML doesn't recognize tags that are invalid, so it just renders as normal text. So it keeps this invalid tag, then goes to the next tag and give it its right numbering. So that you can read more about this in the PDF I talked about. It's self-explanatory. Another element is the anchor tag. What are anchor tags? Anchor tags are tags used for creating links. So for example, if we write this is a link, let me zoom in. I can zoom in pressing Control and plus, or zoom out pressing Control and minus. So this is an anchor tag. So an anchor tag receives in the opening tag receives something called an attribute. An attribute are placed in the opening tag of an HTML element. So the attribute is received is called the href attribute, and the href attribute simply means the URL of the page you want to link to. For once, I can link to Google by typing https google.com, and if you save and reload, automatically you can see this link like stuff, and when we click on it, it opens the Google homepage. But if we want the link to open in a new window or in a new tab, we can add an attribute called the target attribute and set it to underscore blank. And now when we click on it, it opens in a new tab, and we still have this tab in its current state. So what if we have multiple files in our HTML page and want to link from one page to another in our website? How do we do that? First of all, let's create a new page. Let's call it about.html. Then let's just remember the basic HTML syntax. Head, this is the about page. Sorry, I misspelled about page. Then also sorry, this will be in the title. There you go. Then we should also have the body tag. You can just put on each one. This is about page. So how do we link from this web page to this web page? By creating an anchor tag. Let's say call it this links to about page. Then we set the href property to about.html. So let's save and read and see if that works. We click on it. We can go to the about page. So let me explain what this is. Basically, what the href property receives is the path to the file. You can link to several. You can link to different. It's not only HTML pages. You can also link to an image, link to a file that you want to download it. You can link to many things. But it's by placing the parts of the file, whether absolute or relative parts. So let's add more content to our about page. For instance, we want to link back to the home to this page.html, right? Basic anchor tag. Then href page.html. Okay. Yeah, also let me add, you can add add other elements in between an element. You can add more tags. Okay, this is an h1 tag. Now let's just say back to home. We will reload it and we click on it, takes us back. So you can now see how to link forward and backwards in our website. Okay, so let's talk about how to display images. Images are displayed using a special tag called the img tag, and it's a self-closing tag. And I said earlier, self-closing tag are tags that don't receive an extra closing tag. Instead, it just has a / after it. Images. Okay, I said images accept an attribute called the src. An src simply points to the URL of the image. So let's just get a free image. Okay. Copy image address. I can just paste the link of the image here. And reload. We can now see the image in our website. But what if we don't want to use an image on there? We want to put an image that is locally on our machine. We can also do that. So we have to reach out to the images. So let me download an image and put it in the project folder and get back. Okay, so let me copy and paste this image here and rename it. Call it image. Now we can now see it here in our file explorer here. So what we can do is that we create another image tag and we add the src folder. And now, just like we will link to a different page, we can link to the image as well. Image of JPEG. If we save and reload, you can now see the image here, although it's very large. That's because it's a large file. But to quickly fix this, we can add an height and width attributes. Let's just set this to 500. Reload it. You see a smaller image. An image should also inline elements as well as links. They are both inline elements. So what if we want to put all the images in a separate folder? This is where part comes in. So I can create a new folder by just call this folder img, then drag and drop the image in there. Move. So also we can see it here. The new folder was created. So how do we now link to this image? Let's see if it will still work. So we see that this doesn't work, and that is because of what I said about path. This is not just the assertion is not just the name of the file, but instead the path to the file. So how do we get into the img folder, then get to the image. We first write the name of the folder, img/, then the name of the file, which is image.jpg. And we reload this. We can now see our image now looks properly packed. So let me take off this image that's online. You can see more information about this on the ebook I said. I want to talk about forms. What is a form? A form are HTML elements used for collecting user information. Let me show you a basic example of a form. An example of a form is this search box where you type in your search on Google. This is the generated by a form. So how do we create forms like that? Before we create a form, we first create the form tag. And after creating the form tag, there is a tag called the input tag. The input tag is the fundamental tag for creating forms. So we can go back to our site and reload it. You can now see this mini box where you can type in text. That will come from the input tag. So there are different type of input tags, and we can specify the type of input tag by using the type attribute. So you can see the different types of input tags. So let's try password for instance. All this does is that when we input text in it, it's secured. You can see input text now becomes secured, and that's because it has a type of password. Also, there are other types of input. You can check the ebook for reference. But I'll just there's an input for getting time. There's also input for date. There's input for emails. Now let's see all of that. This is for selecting time, for selecting date, and here you can type in your email. But basically, if a type attribute is not selected, it falls back to input of type text. Now that's default type of an input. Also, we have input of type checkbox, and input of type radio. Sorry, input radio. So let's see what those do. Yeah, we have this checkbox and we have this radio button which is selectable. So there are a lot of types of input. Let me show you another input. Input of type submit. Now what this does is that, let's see what that gives us. We have this button, but to change the content or the value or preset the value, you can add the value property. Say submit this form. So this now changes the content. Also, we can preset values to other inputs. For instance, here you can also add value to my name, and then we can now see this value. But what if, so we start typing, we can cancel it and type something, but what if we want it to be a placeholder? Add a placeholder text. Sorry, placeholder, but your email address. So now we now have a placeholder. There's a difference between placeholders and values, that once you start typing, placeholder disappears, but once you start typing for values, you just add it to the current preset value. So an alternative using input types submit is the button tag, and it's a preferable way, and we recommend you create buttons in HTML. So this is a clickable button. It looks exactly the same as input type submit, but it tends to be more efficient than input type submit. So I advise to use buttons instead of input of type submit when creating forms. So I hope we now understand what forms are and how they work in HTML.